The air in the Grand Bazaar of Zifar stank of ionized metal and too many species packed into one place. Neon signs flickered in a dozen languages, casting jagged reflections across the floating platforms, where merchants hawked their wares. Some sold weapons, plasma rifles still warm from recent battles. Others peddled living things in stasis pods, their tendrils pressed against the glass. Captain Elias Voss moved through the crowd like a blade through water, his cybernetic left eye scanning the crowd with tactical precision. The feed flickered occasionally, damaged in a firefight 3 systems back, but it still caught the important details, like the way the Krellian merchant Zorath kept glancing at him from across the auction platform. Zorath's iridescent scales shimmered under the bazaar's artificial light as he uncoiled his serpentine body to greet Elias. Too many limbs moved in sync, adjusting the hollow projector behind him. "Ah, Captain Voss," he hissed, voice like oil on hot metal. "I was beginning to think you wouldn't come." Elias didn't smile. "You said you had something rare, not just another crate of stolen Federation tech." Zorath's laugh was a dry rattle. "Oh, this is far more intimate." He gestured to the massive holoscreen above them. The display flickered to life, revealing a rotating image of a human brain scan, its neural pathways pulsing with faint light. The caption beneath it burned in bold galactic standard: "Rare human neural patterns, souls authentic, harvested from battlefield dead." Elias' blood turned to ice around them. The crowd murmured. A pair of Vorlix buyers, chitinous, multi-limbed insectoids with too many eyes, clicked their mandibles in interest. One reached out with a clawed appendage, tracing the hologram as if testing its worth. "You're selling ghosts," Elias said, his voice low. Zorath's tongue flicked out. "Not ghosts, souls, the last electrical imprints of human minds, preserved at the moment of death. The Vorlix cartel pays handsomely for such unique commodities." Elias forced himself to breathe. His fingers twitched toward the plasma pistol at his hip, but he kept his hand loose. Recklessness got men killed in places like this. "Where did you get them?" Zorath waved a dismissive limb. "Does it matter? The Federation discards its dead. We simply repurpose them." He leaned in, scales glinting. "Imagine it, Captain, the final thoughts of a dying soldier, their rage, their defiance. The Vorlix have ways of weaponizing such things." Elias' eye caught something in the scan. A flicker of insignia, barely visible in the neural patterns. His stomach dropped. UESN Defiance. His ship, his crew. The holoscreen shifted, cycling to the next product. Another brain scan, this one labeled UESN Defiance. Gunnery Sergeant R. Hale. Elias knew that name. Hale had been pinned under debris during their last stand, bleeding out as the ship's AI screamed warnings in their ears. "You son of a bitch," Elias whispered. Zorath didn't seem to notice the danger in his voice. "Ah, you recognize them. Even better. Perhaps you'd like to bid a chance to reclaim your fallen?" The auction platform hummed as the Vorlix buyers input their offers. The price climbed rapidly. Enough credits to buy a small moon. Elias didn't move. Then the holoscreen flickered again, revealing a stasis pod at the center of the platform. Inside, suspended in blue-tinged fluid, was a human brain, its surface threaded with delicate cybernetic filaments. "Ah, our premium offering." Zorath purred. "Not just a scan, a fully preserved specimen. The Federation calls it Project Echo. We call it Prophet." Elias' vision tunneled. He knew that brain, knew the face it belonged to. Lieutenant Mara Cole, she'd been his first officer, his friend. She'd died holding the line so the rest of them could escape, and now she was here. On an auction block, the Vorlix cartel representative stepped forward, its carapace gleaming under the lights. "We will take them all," it chittered. "The souls of dead humans will make excellent templates for our drones." Elias' hand finally closed around his pistol. Zorath grinned. Ah, Captain, you look like you've seen a ghost. Elias leveled the gun at the merchant's head. His voice was quiet, deadly. No, he said, but you're about to. The air in the data den was thick with the acrid tang of burning circuitry and stale stimulant fumes. Elias Voss ducked under a low-hanging conduit, his cybernetic eye adjusting to the dim, pulsing lights. Across the room, Dr. Lian Nguyen hunched over a jury-rigged console, her fingers flying across holographic keys. The glow illuminated the dark circles under her eyes. She hadn't slept in days. Tell me you found something, Elias growled, slamming a fist on the rusted metal table. The impact sent empty nutrient canisters rattling to the floor. Lian didn't look up. Worse than we thought. Her voice was hoarse. Crix, show him. From the shadows, a lanky Zapirian unfolded himself, bioluminescent scars flickering along his arms like faulty wiring. Crix tapped a command into his wrist projector. The air shimmered as classified Federation documents materialized between them. Elias squinted at the floating text. Project Echo. That is a Black Ops designation. Black Ops, black budget, blackest fucking ethics. Lian spat. She swiped through files, each one marked with higher clearance levels. The Federation's been recording neural patterns from human casualties for years. Battlefield deaths, executed prisoners, even terminal patients in military hospitals. Crix's mandibles clicked nervously. They claim it is for memorial archives. But look here. He zoomed in on a schematic. A grotesque fusion of biomechanical tubing and synaptic relays. Elias's gut twisted. What the hell is that? A Vorlix soul engine, Lian said quietly. Takes recorded human neural patterns and imprints them onto drone soldiers, turns our dead into their weapons. The words hung in the air like smoke. Elias reached out, rotating the hologram with trembling fingers. The design was elegant in its horror, a perfect marriage of alien tech and stolen humanity. They're not selling souls at that auction, Lian continued. They're selling weaponized ghosts. Your old crewmates, Elias. The Defiance is dead. Elias's remaining organic eye burned. He remembered the last transmission from the Defiance. Static, choked screams, the ship breaking apart around them. He'd assumed the Vorlix had just scavenged the wreckage. Not this, never this. Crix pulled up another file. Security footage showed a Vorlix testing facility. A dozen drone soldiers stood motionless in a hangar bay. Then the technicians activated the soul engine. The drones moved, but not like machines. They moved like humans. One drone, imprinted with some long-dead Marine's neural pattern, snatched a plasma cutter from a startled technician. The footage cut off as screams filled the audio channel. Mother of God, Elias breathed. Lian's smile was razor-thin. Turns out human minds don't take well to being enslaved, even after death. She tapped the frozen image of the rogue drone. The Vorlix think they've cracked human aggression, but they missed one tiny detail. Crix brought up the final document, a Federation psych report buried deep in the files. Elias scanned the highlighted text. Subject neural patterns demonstrate persistent identity retention beyond projected thresholds. Caution advised, imprinted drones may retain original loyalties. Elias barked a laugh that held no humor. You're telling me those things still think they're human? Lian met his gaze. I'm telling you they are human, just packaged differently. She leaned forward. And here is the kicker. The Vorlix cartel bought 20 fresh neural patterns at auction today. Your people, Elias right now, they're being loaded into a soul engine. The console between them flickered as an alert popped up. Real-time feed from the auction house. The Vorlix buyers were already moving the stasis pods toward a waiting transport. Elias's hands curled into fists. We're getting them back. Lian shook her head. You don't understand. Even if we retrieve the pods, the patterns are degrading. Neural decay starts the moment they're extracted. We'd need I don't care what we need, Elias interrupted. He turned toward the door, his coat swirling behind him. They took my crew. They don't get to keep them. Crix made a panicked chittering noise. You can't just walk in there. The auction house is crawling with Vorlix enforcers. Elias didn't break stride. Good, more of them to kill. As the door hissed shut behind him, Leon and Crix exchanged a look. The doctor sighed and grabbed her sidearm. You realize we're going to die, right? Crix's scars pulsed crimson as he armed his plasma pistol. Yeah, but if we're lucky, we'll take some of those soul-stealing bastards with us. Outside, the neon lights of Sci-Fi Bazaar painted the streets in garish colors. Somewhere in that labyrinth of greed and corruption, the Vorlix were preparing to weaponize the last thoughts of dead humans. Elias checked the charge on his pulse rifle. He intended to give them some fresh memories to work with. The derelict graveyard stretched for kilometers, a silent tomb of gutted warships and broken freighters drifting in the shadow of Sci-Fi's black hole. Elias Voss floated through the wreckage, his mag boots clicking against the Defiance's scorched hull. The once proud cruiser was now a corpse, its armor peeled open like rotten fruit. Frozen bodies drifted in the zero-G corridors, their faces locked in final snarls of defiance. Lion wasn't lying, Crix muttered over comms, the Zephyrian's voice crackling through static. His bioluminescent scars pulsed nervously as he scanned the wreckage. Vorlix harvesters stripped this place cleaner than a Zephyrian tax auditor. Elias ignored him, pushing deeper into the ship's carcass. His cybernetic eye flickered, overlaying tactical data from the Defiance's last stand. Blast marks, boarding pods, hand-to-hand combat in the mess hall. The crew had fought to the last. Then he found the bridge. The captain's chair was empty, but the main console still glowed faintly. Elias wiped frost from the screen. The words "core intact, manual override" required blinked weakly in the gloom. You seeing this? Elias asked, pulling a neural jack from his belt. Crix hissed. That is a Federation AI core, probably corrupted beyond. Elias plugged in before he could finish. The bridge lights flared to life. A distorted voice boomed from shattered speakers. Identify. UESN Defiance, AI Echo. Elias winced as the jack flooded his neural implants with pain. Captain Elias Voss, UESN Retribution. Service number Gamma Phi, recognized. The AI's voice fractured into 100 whispering tones. They took them, Elias the Vorlix. They took my crew's last moments. Static, filled hollows flickered to life. Security feeds from the final battle. Elias watched as insectoid Vorlix enforcers stormed the bridge. Their plasma cutters carving through bulkheads. The Defiance's crew fought back with wrenches, sidearms, bare hands. Then the horror began. Vorlix technicians hauled strange devices into the fray, pulsing black spheres that latched onto dying humans. The spheres glowed as they siphoned neural data from twitching corpses. Project Echo, Elias whispered. They harvested us, the AI hissed, turned our final thoughts into weapons, but they made one mistake. A final transmission played Captain Halpern's dying words as a Vorlix sphere clamped onto her skull. Human minds don't break, they adapt. The feed cut to a classified Federation schematic, the Soul Engine, a biomechanical monstrosity designed to imprint human aggression onto drone soldiers. But one subsystem blinked red, neural recursion failsafe. Active, Crix's claws clicked against his datapad. Oh, void. The failsafe makes the imprint self-aware. Those souls they're auctioning. They're not just copies, they're alive, the AI finished. And angry outside. Spotlights pierced the darkness. A Vorlix harvester ship descended, its boarding clamp screeching against the Defiance's hull. Elias yanked the neural jack free. How many cores did they take? 17. all from the Battle of Cygnus Ridge. The AI's voice darkened. 17 crews who died fighting. Now their ghosts power Vorlik's weapons. Crix's frills flattened in terror. We need to leave now. Elias didn't move. He stared at the approaching Vorlik soldiers. Their chittering laughter vibrating through the hull. Wrong move, Bugs, he muttered, then louder. Can you patch me into the Defiance's remaining systems? Weapons offline, engines destroyed. But a console sparked. The comm array still works, barely. Elias grinned. Good enough. Open a channel to all frequencies, maximum power. Crix grabbed his arm. Are you insane? They'll hear. Exactly. Elias leaned into the mic. Attention all former USN personnel. This is Captain Voss. If you're hearing this, you're currently powering some Vorlik's bastard's toaster. He paused. Time to wake up. The AI made a sound like a chuckle, transmitting recursion code on all echo frequencies. They won't like this. Outside, the Vorlik ship suddenly shuddered. Its lights flickered. Then, one by one, the auction's Saul containers began activating prematurely across the bazaar. Crix gaped. What did you do? Elias watched as spectral marines materialized in the corridors, ghosts of dead humans flickering into existence. They turned toward the Vorlik's borders and smiled. I reminded them, Elias said, drawing his plasma pistol, that humanity doesn't surrender even in death. The first Vorlik scream echoed through the graveyard. Then the shooting started. The auction hall's lights flickered as the stasis pods hissed open. Elias Voss stood at the edge of the crowd, his cybernetic eyes zooming in on the flickering neural patterns inside. They pulsed like dying stars, human brain scans ripped from the dead. His dead. The UESN Defiance's crew, Jorak, the Vorlik's high merchant, clacked his mandibles in satisfaction as he gestured to the pods. Behold the rarest commodity in the galaxy, human souls, unbroken, unyielding, perfect for imprinting upon your armies. The crowd murmured, a mix of fascination and greed. Elias' grip tightened on the pulse pistol hidden beneath his coat. Then the first pod malfunctioned. A holographic figure burst from the containment field, a spectral marine in tattered uniform, his face half gone from whatever battle had killed him. The projection flickered, then stabilized, locking onto Jorak with eerie precision. The Vorlik's merchant reared back. What is this, a glitch? The ghost marine tilted his head, then he smiled. Glitch. The voice was distorted, but unmistakably human. Nah, just taking a look around. The other pods erupted. Dozens of flickering figures materialized, soldiers, engineers, medics, all dead, all staring at the aliens who had bought them. Elias' breath caught as one turned toward him. The ghost's eyes, what was left of them, widened in recognition. Captain, Jorak snarled, slamming a clawed hand onto the control console. Deactivate them. These are just echoes. They shouldn't be conscious. The Marine's projection flickered again, then solidified. He cracked his knuckles. Echoes don't remember how to fight, Bug. Chaos erupted. The ghosts moved like living soldiers, ducking behind auction displays, flanking Vorlik's enforcers. One spectral engineer wrenched a plasma cutter from a stunned insectoid's grip and turned it on its owner. The weapon shouldn't have worked for a hologram, but it did. Elias didn't question it. He lunged into the fray, pulse pistol barking. His crew, Leon, Crix, and the others, followed, cutting through the panicking crowd. Jorak screeched orders, his carapace rattling. Kill the humans. Destroy the pods. A Vorlik's enforcer raised its weapon, only for a ghostly hand to seize its wrist. The dead Marine twisted, snapping the chitinous limb like kindling. You don't get it, the ghost said, driving a spectral fist through the enforcer's thorax. We're not just data, we're pissed. Elias reached the central console, slamming his palm onto the override. The Defiance's AI core had given him the code's backdoor access to the Vorlix systems. The auction's massive holoscreen flickered, then changed. Instead of bidding prices, it displayed battle logs, human ships, human soldiers, dying but never surrendering. The last moments of the Defiance's crew played for the entire bazaar to see. Jorak staggered back. No, this is impossible. Those memories should be fragmented. Leon's voice crackled over Elias Coombe. They are fragmented, but human minds don't break clean. They leave jagged edges. One of the ghosts, a young woman with a medic's insignia, turned to Elias. Captain, they tried to use us. Elias nodded. I know. She grinned, bloody and fierce. So we're using them back. The Vorlix tech shuddered. The containment fields around the pods flared crimson, then inverted. The ghosts didn't fade. They burned brighter, their projections searing into the auction hall's systems. Jorak screamed as his own security drones turned on him, their targeting lasers painting his carapace. What have you done? Elias holstered his pistol. You wanted human souls. Congrats. You got 'em. The ghost surged forward, and the screaming began. The reactor core pulsed like a dying star, casting jagged red shadows across the buckling metal walls. Crick slumped against a sparking console, his bioluminescent scars flickering erratically as he clutched the plasma burn searing through his chitinous side. We're not gonna make it, he hissed, mandibles clicking in pain. Leon's fingers danced across the Soul Engine's control interface, sweat beading on her forehead as she fought against the Vorlix encryption. The machine shuddered, its biomechanical tendrils thrashing like a gutted animal. Shut up and keep pressure on that wound, she snapped. I need another 30 seconds. Above them, the auction hall had become a charnel house. Spectral marines, echoes of dead humans ripped from their final moments, tore through Vorlix enforcers with terrifying precision. A holographic soldier materialized beside a shrieking insectoid, driving a ghostly combat knife through its thorax before flickering out of existence. The air smelled of ozone and burning chitin. Elias' voice crackled through Leon's earpiece. Status report. Almost there, Leon muttered, teeth gritted. The Soul Engine's core display flashed warnings in Vorlix script. Containment failure, neural overload. She smirked. They built this thing to handle one human mind at a time, not 50. Crix coughed up something black and oily. What happens when it blows? Leon didn't look up. Remember that volcanic moon you grew up on? Yeah, it'll look like a campfire compared to this. The reactor's hum climbed to a shriek. Conduits exploded in showers of sparks as the Soul Engine's containment field buckled. The Vorlix had made one fatal mistake. They'd assumed human minds would obey programming. But the dead of the UESN Defiance had other ideas. A spectral marine flickered into existence beside them, his translucent form glitching violently. Ma'am, he said, saluting Leon with a grin. We've got control of their drone network orders? Leon blinked. You're aware? The marine's grin turned feral. We remember enough, especially the part where these bugs murdered us. Crick stared. Holy shit. Leon exhaled sharply. Tell your squad to target Vorlix ships only, and... She hesitated. Thank you. The marine winked out. A second later, the bazaar's external cameras showed Vorlix cruisers turning their guns on each other, their own drone swarms tearing them apart from within. Jorak's voice boomed through the crumbling complex. Cease this insanity. You're destroying yourselves. Leon finally found the override she'd been hunting. Her finger hovered over the trigger. No, she whispered. We're just returning the favor. She slammed the command home. The Soul Engine detonated in a silent burst of blue fire. The shockwave rippled outward, not as heat or force, but as pure data, a scream of human defiance encoded into every Vorlix system within 100 clicks. Drone soldiers froze mid-stride. Warship engines stuttered and died. And then, one by one, they turned. Crix wheezed a laugh. You just weaponized a memory. Leon hauled him to his feet as the ceiling groaned above them. No, she said, dragging him toward the exit. I weaponized regret. Somewhere in the chaos, Jorak shrieked as his own security drones rounded on him. Leon didn't look back. She knew what she'd see, Vorlik's warriors torn apart by the very weapons they'd built from human suffering. The reactor went critical behind them. The last thing she heard before the blast wave hit was the Defiance's AI whispering through every speaker in the bazaar. Welcome to hell, you slimy bastards. We've been saving you a seat. The bazaar trembled as explosions rippled through its neon-lit corridors. Elias Voss sprinted through the chaos, his cybernetic eye painting tactical paths across the collapsing marketplace. Behind him, the central reactor pulsed like an angry heart, its containment fields buckling under the strain of Leon's sabotage. Crix status. Elias barked into his comm. The Zeperian hacker's voice crackled through static. Aliv barely got your package. Vorlik's encryption keys are broadcasting on all channels. Every pirate, mercenary, and rival cartel in the sector now knows where to find their hidden bases. A wet cough, they're gonna be pissed. Elias grinned. Good ahead. The auction hall's grand holoscreen flickered erratically. Instead of listing bids for human souls, it now displayed classified Vorlik's fleet movements, defense protocols, even the private communications of High Merchant Jorak himself. The insectoid's 4 glowing eyes widened in horror as he watched his empire's secrets spill across the galaxy. You vermin, Jorak hissed, his obsidian carapace streaked with coolant leaks. He clutched a plasma cutter in 2 of his 4 arms, the weapon's barrel cracked from overheating. Do you have any idea what you've done? Elias leveled his pistol. Sold you out, Market's a bitch, huh? Around them, the remnants of the Vorlik's enforcers lay broken. Some had been gunned down by Elias' crew. Others had fallen to the ghosts. The holographic soldiers, echoes of dead humans, had turned on their captors with chilling precision. They moved like veterans, exploiting weaknesses in Vorlik's armor, targeting neural clusters with brutal efficiency. One spectral marine materialized beside Jorak, his translucent form flickering with damage. He wore the insignia of the UESN Defiance. Funny thing about human minds, the ghost said, his voice layered with static. You can copy our patterns, you can try to weaponize our instincts, but you can't control what we choose to remember. Jorak lashed out with his plasma cutter. The weapon passed harmlessly through the hologram. The marine smirked. Like I said, funny. A deafening groan echoed through the bazaar as the reactor's containment finally failed. The deck plates buckled, hurling aliens and debris into the air. Elias grabbed a support beam, his muscles straining as the artificial gravity fluctuated. Time to go! Leon's voice shouted over the comm. I've got the last escape pod primed. Move your ass, Elias. He didn't need telling twice. Elias sprinted toward the docking bay, leaping over fissures that spat arcs of blue energy. Behind him, Zorath the Broker dragged his mangled body across the floor, his serpentine form missing 2 limbs. His iridescent scales were dull with dust and blood. You'll die for this, Zorath wheezed. The Federation will hunt you. The Vorliks will flay your... Elias didn't let him finish. He grabbed the Krellian by his remaining arm and hauled him toward an abandoned escape pod. The hatch hissed open under his command override. What are you doing? Zorath stammered. Making sure you live to see what comes next. Elias shoved him inside. Your buyers just became the product. He slammed the hatch release. The pod ejected with a pneumatic scream, hurtling toward the nearest Vorlik's picket ship. Elias didn't wait to watch it dock. He turned and ran as the bazaar's core detonated. The explosion lit up the black hole's accretion disk like a second sun. Aboard the stolen Vorlik's cruiser, Elias collapsed into the command chair. His crew, what remained of them, cheered weakly. Crix slumped against a console, his bioluminescent scars pulsing erratically. Leon nursed a plasma burn across her ribs. On the view screen, the bazaar's wreckage spun lazily into the black hole's grasp. Did we just start a war? One of the ex-Marines asked. Elias watched as Federation distress signals bloomed across the star map. Vorlix ships scrambled to respond to sudden attacks from rival cartels. Pirate fleets descended upon undefended Vorlix outposts, their routes provided by Crix's data dump. No, Elias said. We just reminded the galaxy why you don't fuck with human souls. The Defiance's AI core hummed to life in the ship's systems. Its voice whispered through every speaker. They will come for us now, all of them. Elias leaned back, staring at the carnage they'd unleashed. Let them. The stolen Vorlix cruiser hummed through the void, its alien architecture now patched with human tech and jury-rigged systems. Elias Voss leaned against the command console, watching the star maps flicker with incoming transmissions. His cybernetic eye passed the data streams, Federation bulletins, mercenary chatter, and most importantly, the panicked broadcasts from Vorlix-controlled systems. Crix limped onto the bridge, bioluminescent scars pulsing with pain. They're calling it the Soulfire incident, the Zeperian hacker said, tossing a data crystal onto the console. Every major network is running it. Vorlix stock just crashed 80%. Leon Nengoyan chuckled darkly from her station, fingers dancing over a stolen Vorlix bioscanner. Turns out broadcasting their black site locations to rival cartels wasn't great for business. Elias smirked. Who knew? The ship's new AI core, once the defiant voice of the UESN Defiance, pulsed through the speakers. Incoming transmission, encrypted, origin Earth. The crew froze. Earth Command hadn't spoken to outlaws like them in years. Elias straightened. Patch it through. The holographic screen resolved into the grizzled face of Admiral Rykov, his scarred cheek twitching. Boss, you've got the entire Federation in an uproar. Elias crossed his arms. Nice to see you too, sir. Rykov's glare could have melted steel. Don't sir me, you just weaponized a Black Ops project and turned it against the Vorlix Syndicate. Do you have any idea what you've unleashed? Behind Elias, the Defiance's AI interrupted. Correction, we unleashed them. The dead don't like being used. The Admiral's eye twitched. Those neural patterns were supposed to be contained, studied. Not what? Elias snapped. Not fighting back. Funny how that keeps happening. A long silence. Then Rykov sighed. Earth Command is disavowing you officially, but unofficially, there are factions who want Project Echo buried. Permanently, leaned forward. Meaning you've got a target on your back the size of a dreadnought. Vorlix wants you dead, the Federation wants you silenced, and there are others. Crix hissed. Others, Rykov's image flickered. The ones who really run the soul engines. This goes higher than the Syndicate. The AI core pulsed, its voice dropping to a whisper. The Harvesters. Elias felt the blood drain from his face. The Harvesters weren't just a cartel. They were a myth. A boogeyman even the Federation feared. Rumors said they'd been collecting dying minds for centuries. Rykov's hologram glitched. You've got one play left, Voss, run, or make them regret coming for you. The transmission cut out. The bridge was silent. Then Crix laughed, a sharp, broken sound. Well, that could have gone worse. Leon rolled her eyes. How? We're not dead yet. Elias turned back to the star map, watching the Federation fleets mobilize, the Vorlix distress signals flare and die. The galaxy was shifting, and they were at the center of it. The AI core hummed, its voice quieter now. They'll come for us, all of them. Elias studied the map, the trade routes, the black sites, the hidden lanes only outlaws knew. Then he grinned. Let them. He tapped the console, and the stolen Vorlix cruiser banked hard, streaking toward the uncharted dark. Behind them, the wreckage of Sci-Fi burned. Ahead the stars waited, and somewhere in the void the harvesters stirred.